Yo, what's going on out there? YouTube family, we are back. This is another South by Southwest episodic series premiere at South by Southwest. I'm here with Lucas. What's going on, Lucas?
I froze for a second there. I couldn't think of a clever quip there to say as it leads us into this without sounding overly racist.
And without further ado, we are about to go and dissect them. So I'm going to read a brief synopsis of it. A black family moves to an all-white Los Angeles neighborhood where a malevolent forces next door and otherworldly threaten to taunt, ravage, and destroy them.
Where did this happen in this episode? I am so confused. Unless the other ordinary forces were Caucasian people next door, I am highly confused. Any of that happened in this episode.
So, yeah, I guess we got to go ahead and just kind of break it down, because in the very opening shot of this episode, you have the main character, Lucy. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, not Lucy, Lucky. Is it Lucky or Lucy? It's Lucky.
Lucky Lucy?
Yeah, we're going to call her Lucky. And she's at home in her, deep South home. She's with her baby. And one of the opening things that happens is somebody's just kind of walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden they kind of like sing a little tune. They stop and look at her, they ask for directions, and they start kind of making small talk with her. And it is very obvious that something is wrong and off about this lady. And, Lucky starts to feel very threatened, and she's very terrified. And eventually she tries to ask this girl to leave. But this old lady does not. She just starts to sing. And then you can see to the right, as Lucky goes back into her house to her baby, that right outside the window is a group of Caucasian men, and she is alone. Her husband is not there. And that's how you start. Like, to this crazy transition. Now we have like her and two daughters and her husband, and they're going to Compton, Los Angeles, and
East Compton.
Yeah, that's it. And so I was kind of like, was this in her head? Like, what was going on? But then you realize as it progresses that Lucky is mentally not there. Like, she has a lot of things going on with her that are just eating away at her psychologically. And it's not just the atmosphere outside. Like, atmosphere outside is pretty messed up, but she's got her own things going on that are really eating away at her psychologically and emotionally. So Lucas, before we even go any further, what did you think about episode 1, and what was your take on episode 1?
Black trauma is clearly at play for horror movies for some odd reason. Horror anything right now for some odd reason. But this episode was directed well. It was shot well. It was scored well. It's a bit much. It's a bit much. That's the best way to put it. It's a bit much. At times it feels too familiar, and then at other times it just feels too disconnected. And those are the things that I walked away from this first episode thinking was, wow, this seems familiar. Like, I've seen this type of setup before. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, you're like, but it's so disjointed. Like, they make the mistake, and I'm going to call it a mistake. They make the mistake of, it feels like shoehorning in supernatural elements into it in places it doesn't necessarily fit well in. And it leaves you in the first episode of wondering, like, okay, so what's actually happening here? What are the horror elements of this episode? And I think that's possibly the difference between this and another show this show is going to definitely be compared to, which is Lovecraft Country. And the first episode, where kind of Lovecraft Country kind of let you know the foolishness that you're going to walk into in the first episode. This one, you're kind of stuck and lost because, again, as you say, the way the episode opens, you're kind of questioning, okay, is this reality or if it's not reality? Is this the present or is this the past? Is what they're going through the past or like what's going on here? And then it jumps without giving you the best transition. It gives you a transition like she's dreaming this happening and not remembering something happening. And then you get into another situation that doesn't really make sense. And that is the moving the family to the all-white neighborhood at that time period.
Yeah.
And then you get the racial elements of it, which I thought at times were extremely disturbing and extremely strong. And then we jump right into supernatural elements, and you're like, oh, wait. Like, we still got these elements over here to deal with first. Like, can we deal with these elements first, and then we jump to these elements? Or can we find a way to combine these together? Because right now it feels like two separate shows. Fighting each other in this first episode, two separate shows fighting each other to see which one's going to win out.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because again, like I didn't know, like the moment when they were like in the car, everything seemed like it was fine, and not just that, I was kind of like, I swear that little baby was a little boy. I was like, what? So where these little girls come from? They it's not like she looked like an old woman. So I was like, what happened, bro? Like, what's going on? And then as it progresses, you know, you're kind of like, oh, okay, wow, this is the real issue. Like she's there, they're there. The first opening moment, the whole entire neighborhood, you know, at least the women in the neighborhood get outside and they just stare. Like, and it's the most ominous, like I don't know what I would do in that era, in that situation. Like, it's kind of like,
it's a good chance you wouldn't move to an all-white neighborhood, sir.
No, I would. I mean, yeah, of course. But I'm saying that if I was, you know, say if I was one of the girls, right? I would say if I was a child in that time, and like I'm having to recollect the situation here. One, my parents say, okay, we're not moving. We're staying here. We're standing our ground. My mom is not doing well mentally and emotionally. And I gotta go to high school or I gotta go to school in this situation. Like one of the main characters, Ruby, she has to go to high school. And like, honestly, bro, that joint was traumatizing to me as well. Because I was like, how would you? And it was crazy because I felt it. I really did feel it. Like when the dad had a conversation with I think her name is Ruby, and he was saying to her, like, look, your mom's not doing well. We're gonna do everything we can to do this, but you got this. We got this, right? And like she goes to school and like immediately it just hits and it hits and it hits. And then it's kind of like every single moment, like the family is getting tested and like just dissected. Because even when I had going to work, I was like, okay, well, you know what? He's gonna have to prove himself, but no, like this man, he's got like PTSD hardcore, and like you don't really realize what he used to be, and then it overlays to why they're actually there, why they had to leave. And I think one of the wives said it, the main wife, she said the reason why they're because they're in a worse situation than they are right now, or something like that, right? Something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what was it.
Oh, you're talking about when they were staring at her as she was in the house?
Yeah, no. They were having a conversation. It was her. She was having a conversation with her girlfriends or whatever, and they were like, you know, like we got to get them out of here. We got to do everything we can. And she, like, one of them were like, why they even come here? And she kind of said along the reason why they're here is because they're coming from a situation that was worse than what they are right now. And we have to make it worse for them here where they came from. Something along those lines. I can't remember the exact verbiage.
Well, that thinking would be odd to have and saying it, but then that's also racism, saying you're coming from a worse situation, so you're automatically assuming it's horrible. But to me, the issue is very simple. This is the worst father on television. Absolutely. Like, he made these decisions, and we find out he hid something huge from his wife that clearly would have changed her mind about moving anywhere near that house.
Oh, you talking about the yeah,
The
the deed?
I mean, are we not? I know it's Sundance. And we're trying not to spoil things here, but it's hard not to do with this show because you can't really have a discussion without really overly talking about the show. But like, yes, on the deed of the house that they purchased in this all-white neighborhood, it literally said no Negroes. Like,
Period.
no Negroes in this house.
Yeah.
And yeah, and still he bought it. It he makes more puzzling decisions than what's my guy from Lovecraft Country?
It
Jonathan
doesn't.
Majors.
Oh, Atticus.
Yeah, but I was trying to think of the nickname. I just want to
Tick.
call him Tick. Tick. He makes worse decisions than Tick. Way worse. Because in all honesty, even when he's having a conversation with his daughter about we got this, we're gonna do, you put her in this situation. You put
He
your
is.
wife in this situation.
He is.
You put all of them in this situation. And when him and his wife are having a conversation about why didn't we move to Watts, which is the all black part of the time. Well, they ain't gonna have what we have. If it feels like it's a need to be bigger or greater than, and he sacrificed his family's potential safety and happiness to be bigger and greater than.
To lay his mark on the, yeah. I can see that.
Like
I can
that,
definitely see that.
it's one of the things that puzzled me the most in this one is that normally when you see anything pertaining to black folks in this time period and them making decisions to move in all white neighborhoods, they already come in with a mindset we have to stand our ground. It's clear here they did not come in with that mindset because they didn't fully understand what they were getting themselves into.
Yeah,
And we're focusing on just this element, and that's not even supposed to be the biggest element of the show. That's what I'm.
True. It's true. But see, then this is the thing that I wanted to talk about. Going to just what you said right there. Not only did they not know, but they were emotionally and mentally already compromised.
Mm-hmm.
The mom wasn't mentally there. He technically ain't mentally there. And to be honest with you, the end of this episode, I don't know how they ever made eating pie traumatizing for me. And I give credit to the director because the setup was perfect. That flashback sequence that had where he kind of just like flipped out, and you kind of like, why the heck is this man flipping out over some pie? And he kind of like went outside, had a conversation with the mom and all this kind of stuff. And you understood the weight of why just even the smell messes him up, right? And then they set it up that by the end of the episode, everybody's already had a messed up day. It got bad. And got to the very last of the episode, and this mom puts this pie in front of this man, knowing full well the last time and she just smiling. And I was like, yeah, this is some evil stuff. This family is gonna literally eat itself apart. And I was like, she knows how he's gonna react. She knows what's gonna happen. And like the way that it's handled, I was messed up by that, dude. And again, this is just the family situation of it. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, I know the scene you're talking about.
It messed me up, dude. And it's hard to talk about without spoiling it. It's so hard to talk about without spoiling. All I'm gonna say is this scene right here. That's the only thing I can really say of why. But it's kind of like why he's doing what he's doing and trying to get through it. I'm gonna ask you this question: do you feel like she was justified in doing it that way, knowing full well how it was messing him up? Because I was messed. I get it, I understand it, but I don't know. You tell me.
I think if she was trying to make a point to him when she did that, the whole time, I think she was trying to make a point when she did that to him with the pie, because I think right before then was coming to the conclusion that she was crazy or that she's being perceived as being crazy. Because remember, right before she fed him the pie, it was a discussion over the table with the daughter, the youngest daughter, and about her day. And she brings up, well, I also saw, again, the element we have not talked about yet is what she saw and what happened to her.
Oh, crap. True. This is getting interesting. All right, you spin that. All right, what do you want to talk about with that? Because we haven't gone over that yet. This is interesting.
Hold up. I'm trying to find a way to say this and make it calm. She has an imaginary friend or imaginary teacher from one of her books as a kid who's following her around.
And you're talking about the youngest one.
The youngest one, who's this teacher or creature from this book is evil. And she, at the end of at one point of the episode, as the family sleeps peacefully, the little girl does what little girls in horror movies do unnecessarily. She gets up out of bed, and as she gets up out of bed, she walks into the living room and she sees a huge figure at the dining room table with her dog's collar.
Oh, and just before I you guys, I just realized that South by Southwest, I believe, gave us a back-to-back feature with this, episodes 1 and 2, because I think that there's I'm talking about this all second. Full disclaimer, this is episode 1 and 2 review, because the way that it was presented to us was literally all in one. So just do know that. But continue, Lucas. Continue.
Look here, it is hard here, people. It is hard trying to get everything adjusted together to be like, okay, wait a minute. And you know what? Full transparency here. Full transparency, because it works better. And then you'll understand the pauses in my face when I was saying stuff and the pauses in Sam's face when he was saying stuff. Full transparency here. So we got the ability to screen this at South by Southwest. 3 days later, we got the season sent to us by Amazon.
True.
So it is a high confusion at times of what at South by Southwest, if it was a back-to-back episode, or was it just the first episode? So the elements that I am talking about with what the little girl happens, because, and it's a whole thing that plays out with the little girl in this book that she has. And in this book that she has, I forget the name of the teacher, the creature in the book that's supposed to be teaching her stuff. At one point in time in this, I'm about to say film, in this show, we see the mother take the oldest daughter to school, and we notice that she doesn't take the younger girl to school. So her and the younger daughter sit in the room. The young girl says, I really want to go to school. And she says, eventually we'll get you there, basically. And then she decides to sing her mother a song. The song she sings to her mother is, if I'm not mistaken, a song that the evil woman at the beginning of the series was singing. It's the same exact song. And as she's singing the song, it transitions to this picture of this little girl with the red background to her daughter actually singing it. It's like it's transporting the mom back to the haunting feelings that she has.
What happened? Whatever happened.
Yeah,
we still don't know.
So as that transition happens back and forth, the mom snaps. And she's trying to get her daughter to stop singing it, but yet her daughter is responding to her in not a way her daughter would respond to her.
Exactly.
And again, it's the supernatural elements that are freaking me out of this, because it's so out of nowhere. And what I know now as the first episode, it's with the daughter waking up out of her sleep, walking into their living room area.
Bro, that joint creeped me out, dude.
Seeing this very tall thing sitting at the dining room table, and she sees her dog's collar in the thing's hand. And then we see the woman stand up, or whatever that thing is, stand up and walk slowly towards the girl and she does not have the ability to yell or scream for help or anything of that nature.
Terrified. She is
Yes.
frozen stiff.
So that's how the first episode ends, as the creature lunges at her and grabs and chokes her.
Yeah.
And now we can talk about the second episode. As Sam said, it's super confusing here. Because as Sam is talking, I'm not gonna lie here, people. I believe in telling the truth. It's late. I'm not eating today. So I'm going to tell the truth here. As Sam was talking and explaining to you all what happened, I am literally typing to him. Is this the first episode? Because I know. I'm like, this ain't the first episode. And then he answers back like, I think so. And I'm like, I swear this happened in the second episode.
It's real. No, it's real. And see, this is another thing we're part of this, you guys. So we never try to talk in great detail about whatever we've seen, because it makes more of an authentic discussion. Sometimes we need to kind of prep a little bit if one way or another. It's kind of like
we don't prep at all. Like we don't, because I don't want him to know my opinion beforehand. He doesn't want me to know his opinion beforehand. So when we're talking, we get to see what each other think about these projects,
which is hilarious.
So as we did that, and he is talking, I'm like, that's not in the first episode.
I was kind of looking. I was like, he is so quiet right now, and I was like, did I say something wrong?
And that's why I was quiet, because I'm like, okay.
So, but yeah, so going off on the beginning of the second episode, that's definitely a good transition.
Because that really opens up a lot of other things.
Yeah, because then the mom, she goes and visits both girls in their beds, and the young girl, she's just in her bed, and she looks at her neck, and she's like, "What is that on your neck?" And she's like, "Did somebody hurt you? Did somebody do this?" And the little girl, I think, kind of describes like somebody came in or something like that. And then they couldn't find
somebody
the dog.
Came in and grabbed me.
Yeah, they couldn't find the dog. And I can't remember. Did the mom find the dog? She find the dog? Or
the father found the dog.
Yeah.
The mom grabbed her gun. That we see her loading a clip of it earlier in the episode. She see all these white people outside her house, and she basically like, okay. But again, that plays into the trauma aspects that we kind of get a clear picture of in the second episode. Now that I can talk about the second episode, in the second episode, we get a clear picture of why her reaction is this way.
Yeah.
And in that episode, when you see the mom react the way to what she believes is someone breaking into her house, killing their dog, and harming her child.
Yeah.
So she gets her gun and decides to go point it at all the white people in the neighborhood, which let's just say, even in 2021, that ain't the thing to do.
Never.
That is not the thing to do. And it definitely wasn't the thing to do in the 50s. But again, it's the visceral reaction to everything that's happening. And we can see that the mom is still struggling with something. And as Sam said, and I know it's kind of us spoiling it, but trust me, we're still not telling you enough to get everything. We find out at this moment that what we thought could have been a dream at the beginning is actual, possibly reality.
Yeah.
And they don't go into any details about what happened in that reality, that this could be reality. And that's, again, it's another element of something that they leave open, and rightfully so, because I don't think we need to know that this early. But again, it's still shoehorns. Even in the second episode, it shoehorns in and out of the racial elements to the supernatural elements. But they seem to be at odds with one another, and that was my whole issue. Like, because at times I'm just like, I would love to see these racist white people more. Like, they are very interesting racist white people.
But I see, it's weird because I feel like even in the second episode, they take the time to flesh out, some of them. Like the mom next door, what is her name? I think her name is Betty. And like she goes,
Allison Pillman.
Right? Allison Pills, because she has this like situation where she's like envious and like upset with one of her girlfriends, and it's like I'm like, yo, she's freaking nuts, and they allow you to let her breathe for a moment, right? And I feel like even with the moment when the mom did what she did, I was like, Lord God, please don't let the cops come. Right. And like they decide, and the thing that the supernatural elements, when they work and they hit me. But then as a black man and just looking at this situation, there are things that terrify me. I'm getting terrified by different elements in this show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the effectiveness of when they work is different. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like, for instance, like him going to his engineering job, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like that conversation that he has with his boss, and then him like having a whole PTSD moment. I was so afraid for this man. I didn't know what was about to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And that constant feeling of dread in these black people in this situation, I was literally feeling like goosebumps most of the time. And again, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard because I haven't gotten enough of the supernatural to feel as though its impact is going to work. But then I've gotten enough of it that I'm kind of like, they could do something with this pretty dope. I just don't know where they're going with it. I don't. I really
And
don't know.
that is the issue. Again, that's what I mean by it feels disjointed at times. Because again, the supernatural elements are great and they are effective. I'm a lover of horror, and some of these scenes are set up brilliantly, but then we jump right back into the racism part. And I'm assuming they're trying to wow.
Yeah, they're going to parallel.
I said parallel it against each other to show you the horror aspects and the racial horror aspects and try to play which one do you think is worse type of a game.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you get Lovecraft Country. And that's what I don't want to have happen here. Is I think you should we got to get to the point where we're focusing on just one. And I think we're going to get to that point possibly midway through the season. And the reason I say that is because we see some of the white people in the town not agreeing with what the leader of we have to get rid of the black people is thinking. Down to the cop. You had two cops going who were clearly just playing the race card to a T. And then you get their sergeant who pulls up and he's like, no, this is not what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
He's extremely level-headed for a white man in the 50s. That's all I'm saying. Extremely level-headed.
I was kind of like,
man,
somebody about to pull a gun on this man. I don't know why
but then you see that also playing out with some of the neighbors who they don't see it as big of a deal as Betty does that black people are moved into the neighborhood. So you kind of wonder, okay, are we going to get to the point where we move beyond that and then we get into the more supernatural elements, which clearly should have something to do with the deed saying no Negroes in this house ever?
Yeah, but see, this is the other thing about this show, and I don't know if you can agree or not. Even though there are hints at supernatural elements, technically it might not be supernatural whatsoever, because we evidently got one character, two possibly, that are psychologically just gone. And we don't know, because there was something that happened with the little girl in this when she's like, don't touch my, and I don't want to say it because it's kind of a big spoiler, but I was kind of like, why does little girl of all people say this? Right. And I was like, is it possible that his family is just gone? Like, it's possible. I'm saying this to say that it's possible there is no supernatural elements. It's just the situation. Really? And I don't know how would you take that? Yeah, because every single moment. Well, there's one. I take that back. There's one moment that is a really big possible supernatural moment in the second episode, but that happens with the daughter there as well.
So
and I don't know if I can trust that.
Is it just because of the reaction to the photo that you don't trust the daughter?
No, I just don't know if the daughter is all together either. I really don't, because everything is based on what she's saying. And the mom kind of hit her neck, and after the fact, it was like, wait, what? Because the daughter was saying one thing, And you can believe it because they were like, okay, they're on the same page. And trust that. That's what I'm saying. Like it's very possible that all these different supernatural elements are gonna work, but they might not actually be tangibly real. And
If
that's
they're
why I
not,
say that.
if they're not real, then I'm not watching this show ever again. No. But I also believe that they are real. I think that some of the reactions you're seeing, while it deals with trauma, they kind of set it up that way.
Oh,
That
absolutely.
even at the beginning of the episode, where the white woman says, as you said before, when you were questioning, like, wait a minute, that was a boy. Where did these two girls come from? But then you to leave out the part with the white woman when she said, "My husband will be back." She said, "Who? The gentleman who drove away in the car with the two girls?"
Exactly.
And I think this is a clear, maybe 4 to 5 year gap between whatever happens to the son until to them moving.
I don't
And the only
know.
reason I say that is because they actually go back in time to the incident explaining why he does not like pie.
They did.
And that is 1946. And they moved
Yeah.
in 1953. So that's
Yeah.
a 7 year gap. But in 1940,
9?
no, I thought it was 46.
It might be 40.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
has
That
to be.
makes sense.
And then in 46, she's pregnant with the second daughter.
Yeah, she is. Which that's what I was talking about. Like, how the world is little girl even saying that? You feel me? You feel me? I'm
No,
saying
no, no,
like,
no. But she was pregnant with the daughter, not when the incident happened with the son. She was pregnant with
oh
the
yeah, yeah,
daughter
yeah, yeah.
way
That was when
before
he
that
was
incident
having his
happened.
PTSD moment. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
So, and the boy looked, they said baby, but he looked kind of big for a baby.
Might be out of 2, 1,
Yeah.
half, maybe.
So if
I don't
that's
know.
the case, that the little girl would have been maybe 3 to 4.
3 or 4 at
So
least.
she would know that that's
Mm.
her little brother and what happened.
I think it's just weird because even like going down to the dog, Betty was talking with, like you said, like there's plenty of the Caucasian individuals that kind of just like, I don't really care one way or another. I don't like them, but I don't really care. And like the husband specifically really don't want to get involved at all. But she was kind of pressuring him, like, look, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to be more assertive. And the guys were talking around, okay, we got to get the dog. And so I was like, that could have been them, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like,
But then
there
are
are
you just saying that
things
the figure is imaginary to the little girl?
I don't know. I'm saying that I don't know
But that's
because
the
the
good
mom is messed up
but
and
that's
the
the good
mom fully believes it.
that's the good part of supernatural stuff is that we are waiting for a big reveal. And a big reveal may not need to present itself for you to understand that it's a supernatural show.
Yeah, it's true.
Now,
It's
the key part is, are they trying to go on the elements of horror of racism? I hope not. Because if that's what you're doing here, I'm good. It's bad enough we have enough black torture on television that I don't need to see more black torture on television. So to me, you're going to have to very quickly jump to the supernatural elements to make me care more because I don't want to see any more black torture on television. We're good on that one. So if that's the angle that they're going to attempt to go into, then I would question the writer and director of this and the producer of this, who actually produced another bad semi horror movie late last year. Bad Hair.
on Hulu. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
So I don't think that's where they're going. And if they do go that way, boy, it's going to be a disappointment because the jump scares and the horror moments are great. The weakest elements of it are the moments where it focuses more on race. Those are the weak elements of it. And that's what I meant earlier when I said it felt familiar. The reason it feels familiar is because I've been seeing these type of movies my entire life. I
Yeah,
knew when they pulled up what the white folks' reaction was going to be.
yeah,
When the white women come out there to protest and they're going to sit and play jungle music or wherever that was supposed to be, I'm like, okay, white people are going to white. That's it. This is the 50s. So I don't mean now, but then white people are going to white. And when they start whiting, I'm not shocked by it. It's
yeah,
more like it's expected for them to do this.
Yeah.
But because I expect it, the only thing that's holding me onto this show is the possible supernatural elements of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's possible. It really is possible. But at the same time, they have enough Easter eggs to lead you down this path that it could all be.
I think that's the goal, though. The goal is I mean, we've seen this since the show that the person who most people are saying got ripped off for this show, which is Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Like we've seen misdirection before. Anyone who saw us saw the misdirection. Like you've
Yeah.
seen misdirections before. So I just
Yeah.
think that maybe this is a straightforward one where this is going to play out closer to what American Horror Story is rather than what a Us or Get Out or Antebellum or any of those black trauma horror films play out to be.
Yeah. It's possible, man. It's possible. I'm intrigued. I definitely want to continue, but I'll say this, and we talked about this. This is the only thing we talked about offline. It is heavy.
Yeah.
Lucas said heavy-handed. For me, it was a lot, man. I think it was treated better and executed a lot better in terms of the emotional, the mental progression of these characters in this era during this time, better than what Lovecraft tried to do or whatever. But it's kind of like, how much is too much for me to be able to handle? I think that's the other,
Exactly.
because I know for a fact I can appreciate it because they're going for it. I really can appreciate it. Like, as much as Lucas was talking bad about the dad and he put him in that situation, like, I also understand and feel for him mentally and emotionally, given the both
Mm-hmm.
circumstances and all the different things that have led up until this point. I feel for him because there was a moment that he had when they were digging up grass to bury something or whatever, and I was kind of like, this man, he is about to be gone, and I don't know what they're gonna do. And then again, that leads into the very last sequence. But I kind of was like, man, this is a lot. This is a whole lot. And
Mm-hmm.
like, we're black men, in this era, and it's always still a
And
lot.
I don't feel the need to watch. I don't feel the need to watch things that lend itself to black suffering over and over and over. It's this is the way these black trauma horrors, because that's what they are called for me right now. They're becoming a new slave movie. It's like this is your answer to not doing slave movies. It's giving us like we're gonna paint a picture of the horrible elements of it, and they only doing this for Generation Z. I think that's the new people, the new generation of people. They're only doing it for y'all because they don't think you all understand everything that happened in time periods before you, and they can use that to create these horror elements. But for someone like me, possibly someone like Sam, who grew up or with Eye on the Prize and all this other stuff, guess what I don't like to see all the time? I don't like to see these elements portrayed as horror and entertainment. It is hard to watch. At times I will turn it off and be like, yeah, I'm not here for this today. And that's how I feel with this show. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to be prepared to fully get through this show. And it's not like Lovecraft Country. I've read Lovecraft Country's book, so I fully understood it. And the racial elements of this one are tenfold to what Lovecraft Country did in only its first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
Letty ain't walking around with no bat here and
No.
beating up cars because the white people are honking. She ain't doing that here. If she did it here, she got killed. Like,
Straight up.
this is very rare. Letty and I hate to compare two, but I got to do it here. Letty and Lovecraft Country moved to an all-white neighborhood, and all they did was honk their horns. This family moved to an all-white neighborhood. The next day, all the white women lined up with their radios to play jungle music as she was trying to get her house together in a way to drive her crazy and her family crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because the little girls were like,
and Sam don't want to tell y'all, I don't care. We're not spoiling anything. Well, not anything big, just something little. And then the Ruby, when she goes to high school, guess what? She answers a question right because she happens to know the answer to it. And all the white boys in the classroom started making monkey sounds to her until they got her out the class.
It was bad, man.
That there is the type
that joint hurt me,
racism
yo.
I don't
That joint
want
hurt
to
me.
see. Yes,
That
I
joint
know it
hurt me.
happened. Yes, I have family members that happened too. Guess what? I don't want to go through. I don't want to go through it while I'm supposed to be entertained by something. So it becomes relief when we get to the supernatural elements of this show. And that sounds nuts to say. I get relief when monsters come and attack little girls instead of white people doing it. Like, that's, man, this is a lot. Like,
it
Leah,
is.
Layla. I never say her name right. Layla Waithe. Yes, I think I said it right. Who is, I think, one of the big producers on this show. Little Marvin, who's the creator and writer of this show. I know it's already done, so I can't ask you to give me more horror elements now. But if you could, watch our video and comment below and let me know, Lucas, you should not watch this anymore. Because I am a peaceful person and you are driving me to hate one group of people. It's literally the reason I hated Annabellum is because you're driving me to hate one group of people. I am not trying to, in 2021, hate one group of people. But this show is doing everything humanly possible to put me back in the mindset to hate groups of people. It's a lot to do. It's a lot to deal with. That's all I'm saying. It's a lot to deal with.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And it's crazy because the acting is being executed very well. The directing is doing things that I didn't think that they were gonna do.
Who plays Lucky? Because that's what it is. It's not Lucy, it's Lucky.
Yeah, Lucky. Her
can't remember her name.
is
I'm trying to
Deborah, but I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
She
Orindi.
Let's just put it like this. She is extremely beautiful and extremely powerful, and she carries so much weight on this show. As Sam said, when we get to a heartbreaking scene of her cutting her husband a pie,
bruh, that joint. Oh my gosh,
what that does to him.
Bruh.
That scene there, and it was her reaction as she first. It was joy that she did it because she did it to purposely mess with him.
She did it in spite.
And as he's doing everything in his power for his girls not to see him break again, and you see the looks on her face, and then you see the tears from her eyes. I said, you know what? Damn it. Like, this is powerful. But I don't want to like you. That's what it is. Them. I don't want to like you. Because if I like you, it could lead me to hate people. So I'm trying to hold off from hating people by liking you. So all I ask, could you bring back the scary, white, tall woman just a little bit more for me? That's all I ask. I don't ask much. I don't ask for much. Just bring back that element for me so I don't have to sit around here and go to my office every day and look at a certain group of people like they are the problem with America and everything. I don't need that today. I don't.
I mean, to be fair though, even with that, right? Yes, they went through a really rough time. Yes, she was being very vindictive, but they were being vindictive against each other.
Yes.
And I kind of like, that was the element of the show that I was thrown off by. I was like, oh my gosh, because he was breaking. He was legit breaking.
Because you're thinking everything you two are going through.
Like, this ain't the time for this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, now ain't the time for y'all. This is when you're supposed to be united, not trying to destroy each other. Like, it is difficult. I won't. Full disclosure again. I personally am scared of civil rights music, normally civil rights movies. I don't do anything with a Negro spiritual in it after 5 p.m. It has to be light outside, and I normally have to watch it with somebody for me to sit through it. So, as I am watching this show, As I said, we did get access to it. It is what it is. We got access to the show. I stopped halfway through episode 3 because I said, "Oh no, I'm not watching this by myself." Like I had to stop. Like I'm not watching this by myself. Like no. And you know what? As much as I keep on, as much as it may sound like I'm saying this is a bad show, a lot of this is good elements that I'm supposed to love. I just don't. Maybe it breaks down to me not liking civil rights. I can't do it. Not the movement. I can't do it. Like the music scares the hell out of me. Certain elements scare the hell out of me, and that's because I had to live. I had to be taught a lot of this from the time I was 5. Mm-hmm. I had to go through this. Like I had parents who put me through lessons of knowing what Black people went through, so you understand where you came from. So when you have that much history in it, certain things are going to hit you a little differently. This hits me a little differently, and I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for this show. I'll watch Lovecraft Country again, possibly. I'll get mentally prepared for this show. This is a lot.
It's real. Like it's kind of like we were talking about, like, daggone Lovecraft. If you're gonna sit there and do this, then go for it, daggone. But and this show said, "Hold my beer, hold my beer." Y'all wanted it.
I severely, I apologize to everybody who created Lovecraft Country when I kept on saying, and I kept on saying repeatedly, if you're gonna do this time period, you do it right and you go full throttle. No, that's not what I wanted. That's not at all what I wanted. Because them has decided to say, "Oh, so this is the show you wanted. We got you. We're gonna go full." And now I'm like, could you pull back just a little bit? Could you pull back a little bit? Just give me more horror. I don't need to. Like, could you give me Emmett Till's Funeral, where I don't really see anything and I don't understand the impact of it like Lovecraft Country did? Could you give me the Tulsa Massacre and not have to explain everything to me? So I'm just like, oh, okay, this is interesting, but it's not too heavy. And them is like, no, you're gonna get it raw and uncut and uncomfortable. Like, I am so uncomfortable. I was jumping when the white people were doing things more than I was jumping when the supernatural elements happened in the show. Like, that's man, talking about the show is giving me a headache. And now I need to watch after this review, and I'm remembering this episode. I now have to watch a Disney cartoon to go to sleep. Like,
so I don't want to just full, like, so we've been doing full transparency all night. I was talking to Lucas, and I told Lucas, I was like, look, bro, well, I need your help to get through talking about this episode, right? Or 2 episodes. Because I was like, it's just so much. Like, it was really so much for me. And I'm thankful that Lucas is here, because it would be really hard for me to even try to get through all this from an emotional standpoint. It hit me hard. And so when I told Lucas, he was like, man, look, I ain't watching no more of this. And I was like, oh, okay, well, bet. I get it. It's all good. Like, look, I'm not putting Lucas through anything more. And then Lucas sit there and was like, I might look at it again. And I was like, wait, what? And I was just thrown off.
It's so interesting. But it is so much to get through. Like, I'm gonna eventually watch the rest of these before the series premieres, but I'm going to do it during the day. Because I need light outside, and then I need enough time to get my joy back after I watch an episode. Because that's the problem. The show is stealing my joy away. Slowly but surely, it's stealing my joy away. So either I'm going to have to do that, or I'm going to have to watch this show with my Bible in hand, and I will start quoting certain verses to help me get through this show. It's going to be one way or the other. I just haven't decided which way yet.
So, all right, in saying all that, if we're going off of just those merits, has the show then effectively?
Black people are gonna love it. This is gonna be your favorite show. I have no doubts about Black people loving this show, because guess what? I said all of that, so that means the show literally is doing what it wants to do. I just have a problem with wanting it to do that to me. That's the issue. Okay, it's very simple here. As a critic, I can't call this a bad show. I can say at times it's disjointed. Again, it is heavy-handed when you lean to the racial elements of it. And at times, the supernatural elements feel shoehorned or second thought. And that's what really throws it off for me. But It still manages to pull every emotion that it's trying to pull out of you. And they
It's,
do it with haunting music. Even with they use current music and make it haunt. See, that's the comparisons to Jordan Peele you get is the way they select the music, the way they pull everything together.
yeah.
But personally, as a person who did not like Us in any way, like this is not bad. It's just troubling. That's the best way to put it. It's not a bad show. It's just troubling to watch.
It's
And yet and still, I will watch the whole season. Just must be during the day because I'm not watching this ever again at night under
so.
no
So
circumstances.
I say all that to say, as you're a person, you're way more horror than I am. Then
Mhm.
this show is terrifying you. It's done its job,
But it's
basically.
not terrifying me from a horror standpoint.
Yeah. Well, I
It
mean,
ain't terrifying me from a horror.
it
Mississippi
depends on where you.
Burning
Well, yeah,
terrifies me.
yeah. Okay.
That's the way it's terrifying. It's not terrifying me from a horror standpoint. When I say your horror elements, I get relief from this show when a supernatural being comes on here that I should be terrified of. That's when I get relief. Like that tells me the horror elements, not saying the horror elements aren't working, it's just that something else is superseding the horror elements for me.
Mm. So I think I don't know, Lucas. I think that people. I don't. I think this might be too much for them.
People are gonna love this show.
I think
What?
it's gonna be too much for him because the other side of that is Lovecraft. Lovecraft loved it because it didn't go that full auto went on, the supernatural side. This is
Mhm.
not this show, and I worry that people are gonna be like, "Oh no, I can't do that.
Okay.
Nope,
Okay.
nope,
I'm gonna say
nope."
again, we're gonna say this and not mean it in any negative way. That's what I'm gonna say. Say it first. Lovecraft Country was for white people, and white people love Lovecraft Country. I don't know too many black people that love Lovecraft Country. Most of us said, yeah, this ain't it. Like, no. Between you having the main character power walk everywhere she goes, to Jonathan Majors crying in every other scene, I don't know if we were as affected by Lovecraft Country as our Caucasian brothers and sisters were. But this show here, this show here, yeah, this is different. Like, this reminds me of the black people who love Antebellum. And I know lots of you who love that movie.
I
And
didn't.
and as me as I think Sam did that review by himself because I was mad and I said, no, I'm not reviewing this movie. Like, I understand why people loved it. At the same time, it made me hate people, and that was my issue with it.
Yeah,
Guess
same.
what? Imagine if Antebellum was better. That's them. If Antebellum was better acted, better written, you get them. And that's the troubling part, is that this is a better version of what Antebellum was attempting to pull out of you. Not that the movies are similar, it's just that that was trying to pull a certain emotion out of you, and it didn't do the best job of doing that because it just felt like that's all you were trying to do. This one
Yeah.
here, they're doing it in little moments. They're not even going for the big moments like, hey, slavery. Like, no. You know how we're going to make you mad? We're going to have these white teenage boys make monkey sounds to this little black girl as she's in school.
Just hurt my
We're going
whole
to
heart,
we're
bro.
going to have these white women line up and play music. And it seems so innocent the way I said that. Wait till you watch it and you see what they do. I guarantee you the hate is going to come over you.
Bruh, like when I ain't gonna lie to y'all, when Lucas was even saying he was just simply saying that, I was like, part of me was like trying to hold in tears. Straight up. I was kind of like, yo, Lucas, shut up. I was about to say that. I was about to say, Lucas, shut up. And I don't do that. And I
It's
was
a
like,
difficult thing to watch. It's
yeah,
very difficult to watch
yeah,
because it brings you back to understanding the level of racism that existed back
yeah.
then. And I know we think right now, because every generation thinks that racism is the worst it's ever been because it is for them. But it clearly ain't. Like, no. And this brings that to fruition to let you know what the episode opens up on something that you are waiting to get a conclusion with, because if it's as bad as you think it is, like, dude, that will break me.
Yeah, it's true.
That white woman said, "Can I have him?"
Can I have him?
About her son.
Yeah,
Can I have him?
yeah. Like
Dude,
that was an option. Like
oh
not
my
even.
God. Like I'm going, are you kidding me?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Look,
clearly
we're gonna dial it down. We're gonna
yeah,
just.
clearly you've managed to pull emotions out of me, and I'm not gonna say you're a bad show. I'm just gonna say it's a bit much. It's a bit much for me.
Yeah, we're gonna
Thank you, South.
conclude.
Thank you, South by Southwest, for ruining my night again. And I'm not saying that in a bad way of ruining my night. That's all I'm not saying it in a bad way about ruining my night. Because again, the material is done well. It's
Yeah, we'll see if we're gonna be able to review this. I don't know, you guys.
I'm not crying during the review for you people. I'm letting you know that now. And that is my fear, is that I will break down because something's gonna happen in one of these episodes and it's gonna break me down. And I'm gonna be up here sobbing and I'm not gonna be I'm not trying to go there with it. Not at all. Not at all. If I think of the episode, if one of these episodes make me cry, that is ending it. I am not reviewing it. Nope.
Yeah, so again, you guys, I feel like I could keep going on because part of me was kind of like, what if the family legit like just loses it and just retaliates? I don't know what's gonna
What
happen.
if they kill one of the little what happened if they kill a little girl?
Look,
What,
man, look, I ain't got time for
what
that, Lucas. Stop,
happens
please stop, stop,
if
stop.
they show what happened to the baby boy?
Just stop.
Like,
Just
oh
stop.
my
We're
God.
done. We're done. We're
Oh.
done. Rate the episodes. First episode one of episode 1 and 2. What's your rating?
I,
You okay?
I don't know if I don't feel comfortable rating this show.
What?
I don't feel comfortable rating this show because it did what it needed to do and it still made me feel uncomfortable. So if I rate it, I'm gonna have to say like a 9 out of 10 because you succeeded. You did exactly what you wanted to do. But I don't want to like you. I don't want to like you. I just don't. But I guess 9 out of 10 if I had to give it a rating. Because it's executed perfect. It's damn near executed perfectly for what they wanted to do. I'm just not prepared to deal with that right now.
And that's for episode 1 and 2. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not separating the two because it gets worse. Like in all honesty, like episode 1 hits hard, episode 2 drives it home.
It
Like,
did. It did.
like
It did.
jeez Louise.
Yeah, I was gonna say episode 1 a 9 out of 10 for me, 10 out of 10 episode for episode 2
Man.
because the ending again, and I don't sugarcoat this. I've never seen someone eat pie and it was so much emotional energy and acted and executed off of just a story and a circle. Like I don't know how you build a scene that way. Like honestly, like
the story he told on why he can't do pie is
bruh.
If you know anybody who's been in any war and anything and the trauma that can build from that and his story of why he can't eat pie and him breaking down and saying, I can't eat a pie that my baby girl made for me. And then when she brings him the pie, it is one of the
that jump was evil, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro.
It's one of the evilest things I've ever seen a black woman do.
It was bad.
On TV, or that's one of she put it down next to him and then slowly kissed him on his cheek.
Yep.
Basically saying, and excuse my language here, nigga, you gonna eat this pie. Like she did that and then went and sat down in her chair and smiled at him.
Yeah. Like low key, if I was one of the girls, I would have took that pie, threw it at the wall myself, just to keep for the peace of the house because
they literally took shots of him shaking.
Yeah.
The fork shaking in his hand as he's like, the eternal struggle that has to go on to know that this is something that reminds me of death. It reminds me of death and the worst things in my life. And the woman that I love is using it to torture me.
Bruh.
Because she knew at the end, you either gonna get up and walk away, or and I'll break you, or you're gonna have to sit here and eat this whole thing. And I don't think you can.
Yeah.
And when you see him eating it, and you see the daughter's reactions, and then you see her react, and I'm like, oh man.
Bruh, I was legit. That was the moment that I think it broke me. I was like, I don't know if I can watch anymore. Like I was, and South by Southwest, when I watched it, I was like, this is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. But I don't know if I can watch anymore. That's how I felt.
Man.
That's how I felt. And that's legit why I needed you, Lucas.
I thought we was gonna do. I thought this review was gonna last for 15 minutes. We have literally been talking about an hour for the show.
We're done.
And I can talk more. I can really talk more, but I don't want to. I don't want to. Just know. Check it out. Sam gave it technically between both episodes, he gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Dude. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I don't give anything 9 out of 10. And this is completely contradicting something we said in our chat earlier when I kind of said like Black trauma is serious with this show. I can't watch it.
Yeah.
But then I wanted to make sure I'm not saying it's a bad show. It's just a lot to deal with. My goodness, it's a lot.
Yeah, I feel the stress in my shoulders. I actually need to stop. And I'm supposed to be looking at this other movie tonight, and now I'm gonna have to stop. Thanks to Lucas. Thank you, Lucas. I appreciate you, dog. I appreciate you. We're gonna go. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this review. Definitely go and check out them on Amazon Prime when it drops April the 9th. I think they're probably gonna drop episode 1 and 2. They should. If they don't, I don't understand why they wouldn't.
They got to. Jeez.
And make sure you like this review if it gave you some kind of insight. I apologize, we went over long, but thank you South by Southwest to allowing us to be able to check it out. Thank you for Amazon for allowing us to get the rest of the season. We will be doing, well, I ain't gonna say that. We might do coverage for the rest of the season. We're gonna try. What's his name? Little, you heard us. Little Marvin, you heard us, bro. You heard us, dog. And we're bye.